Very clearly, calf tightness has been confirmed for Papen Schnackenhausen. Mate, this is tough going for the poor fella. He's out this week, and we have a few friendly faces back, which is good. Bronson Sherry, Payne Haas, Olakawatu there, and Mitchell Moses to round out round 21. Now, to give you my brief thoughts on guys you should potentially be looking at this week, we've got some cash downs, which is cool. We've got a few mid-rangers who have either got a little bit lucky with certain situations or have come into a really, really good, likely continued average for the rest of the season. And then the guns we can target as well. Now, Tedesco, if you still don't own him, it's probably a week that you could leave him out of your pick, of your decisions there. The other thought is that, it's very rare that he goes back-to-back sort of poor games, and we saw that last week with his 27. Nwangi Tawaze is going to be the hard one, in my opinion, as to what to do with him. I own, and it's very much an easy week to loop him, but it's also a good opportunity price-wise to move off. So I'm thinking about it, and there's a few different guys that I think could do a decent job at all different prices and all different positions as well. So he's given an interesting decision, and I'll go deeper into it in the holds and sells tomorrow there. But Ethan King gets his opportunity in the centres there with Billy Smith out. Sandon Smith comes in, Hugo Savala in the 22 or 21, whatever it is. Yeah, 22. So looks like, Sandon's going to get his opportunity to try and keep that spot. And I personally think if you have Hugo, with Sam Walker next to him at 7 anyway, I think that his scoring potential does go down a bit. So I think he's a pretty decent sell this week anyway. Be interesting to see what happens if Hugo is available. Does he go into 6 and does Sandon go into 14? We've seen Zach Docker-Clay keep that spot regardless. But the big news here, guys, with the Roosters is actually Siwa Wong returning, but he's returning in Radley's position at 13, and Fekete keeps the spot on the edge. So I'm finding that very, very interesting. We may see both of them switch. So, on game day. Unsure on this. You might not even know until the game starts, but Fekete, I still think is actually a decent purchase this week. A really, really nice mid-range price there. And if you do need a mid or an edge at a little bit of a discount to what they are, what their performance is showing, then I think he's still a really good pick. Wong I wouldn't go for. Crichton's still a really nice price point as well. Connor Watson just feels a bit yuck at the moment, so I'm leaving him out of sort of best buy type of territory. Crichton's still solid. I think Fekete really nice as well, near that 500k mark. So that's the Roosters there. For the Storm boys, as I said, we don't have Pappenhausen. We have Howarth returning with Joey Chan in the centres with Anderson and Coates. And that's the other thing as well. Coates will be up against Nwangani Tawaze, so not an easy matchup for Marky Boy either. Munster is definitely out, as Coach mentioned, and Jerome Hughes still, I think, a really good purchase this week. If you need a half, if you're looking at him and Fogarty and Katoa, they both have the bye left, and Hughes doesn't. So that's where it can be helpful for you. Trent Liero's going out and scoring well at the moment. You could pick him, but a bit of an awkward one. We know he can have the lower games. Eli Katoa still a great edge to pick. And then Harry Grant scored well last week. Should have got the try as well. Didn't happen, but he's at a really nice price at hooker as well, if you don't have enough cash there. So yeah, Chad Townsend, the 1 week rental is out now, along with Billy and Victor. Cowboys Dragons, what a clash this is going to be. My Cowboys are I'm predicting a little bit of a upset here. Is a decent chance, even with all of our guys back. We're just not playing very well at all. Harrison Edwards with Griffin Neem as a starting front row. It's tough out there. It is tough out there. But Tom Duffy sticks in at 6 with Jackson Purgey going to the centres. Hopefully he can score okay here. If you've got Drinkwater, it's a really solid matchup. And Dearden's still performing really, really well. So those two guys, the only clear players to look at. Guys like Cotter and Robson are cheap enough, but just aren't performing at a really good level. And then for the Dragons, you see the odd change there. Matt Fain either in there. Corey Allen on the wing with Sloan. Cook stays the same. Luciano, nothing really else to think of there with Sione Finau out of this one. Murray Talangi actually is the big omission for the Cows there with Robert Darby coming back in. So they'll be definitely targeting him on that right-hand side. It looks, well, yeah, unless he goes to the left and Braden Burns stays on the right. That'll be interesting. Let's see how that one looks like. Broncos, Eels. So for the Broncos there, we see a very, very full-strength side, which is nice. And Payne Haas, as I said, will be coming into my side. You should definitely look at him. Pat Carrigan, if you're interested in something a little bit different, I suggest him to be a pretty good option as well, at a really nice price, just near the 700k mark. So keep an eye out on Paddy if you want to go for him at that one. I think that can work really well for you. And then, yeah, no one really else of note there. We do see Xavier Willison keeping the starting prop spot there, but yeah, not one to target. And then the Eels, we have an improved cash down from where he was playing at 6, Joash Papali'i. Unfortunately, Yongi is out for 6 weeks. He hurt his wrists, and that'll do him for the season, basically. No real reason to bring him back for one game. We'll see. But yeah, Joash comes into the 1, and we should see better scores from him at 1 compared to what we saw at 6. So he won't have to defend in the front line, which will be good, and he'll get more runs of the footy, which is what he's best at, rather than ball playing. So yeah, it'd be a great opportunity to see him out there, and it's definitely a cash down option. And there's one a little bit later I like in McEwen from the Knights. Mitch Moses does return. If you want a bit of a pod play, then you can go for this one. But yeah, the Eels are only playing okay. Lomax, a good option in Supercoach, like a really good option, and less of an option, I should say, in fantasy. But there's that. Hopgood, good minutes last week. Does they continue? I think it's way too hard to predict if it will, but you'd imagine with the interchange that they've got that it should continue. But yeah, we can't guarantee that one. And then Charlie Geimer keeps doing some decent stuff there. Riley Smith starting over Talon De Silva for that one. Warriors and the Titans. For the Wars there, the only guys of note there are Tanner Boyd and also Aaron Clark. So yeah, make sure you do own Aaron. I imagine he'll have an improved game to what he had on the weekend. Just the PPM was a bit down in a game that was a bit odd for that, for a few of the players there. And for the Titans, Campbell's so cheap now. He's like 620 odd, which is pretty crazy. So he can easily hit well into the 50s for the back end of the season, even against this Warriors side, who are they're a little bit off at the moment. So you can't guarantee that they're going to come out and absolutely smash it. So yeah, I think that they should be able to do okay. The big news out of this one though is that Tino, it does look like it's a medial issue, so MCL. 3 to 4 weeks for him will be pretty tough. So yeah, that's that one there. But Campbell is the guy in this team. If you have Randall now, it probably gives him a little bit more of a safety net. Cleese Haas will probably come in and score pretty well. Both for more. I think a few people will be turned off by his 29. I suspect he'll go back to a really, really nice mid-50s type score, and he should be pretty consistent throughout the rest of the season into the back end there. So that's those guys. And you'll see a little bit of an improved role from guys like Jolliffe and stuff as well, but and Fodawaker, but they've been getting minutes the last few months anyway with Tino out for Origin. Panthers and Tigers. So the big dogs are back. We do see To'o named as well. We'll see if he actually sticks. But yeah, Cleary, I think you need to make sure that you get him into your side. He's such an important player. And the next 2 games are absolutely incredible for them. The question's going to be, does Edwards keep the goal kicking or does Cleary? And if it's Edwards, then he's still a very clear buy, and I think he still is a buy. Yeah, he's gone up plenty of cash, but he has these couple of awesome matchups, and that none of these guys should rest from here till the post, unless they manage to lock in a top 4 spot, then they might rest them there. So yeah, Edwards a really good buy still, Cleary, and then Isaiah, just a really nice price. He might not hit the heights of it that he did last year, like finishing the year at 70 plus or something, but if he can be near a 60, that puts him as one of the better options for the remainder of the games, the run home, which is good. Yeah, that's it on their side. And for the Tigers there, you've got Dewey in at 13. I still think he's a decent buy without being spectacular. Hopefully for him, it's a better base stat game to play 60 minutes, and he was on 43 or 44 or something like that before that field goal. So hopefully he can get closer to like a 0.8, 0.9 type of PPM would be ideal there. Interesting to note from NRL Physio. Toby Couchman trained with the Dragons today. There you go. Good on you, Toby. What a man. Some people look at Taylor May. I think that, we've seen him come out and go 60 odd and then be pretty average. He's also in a worse team now. So he's definitely going to be a focal point in this squad. But yeah, just tread with caution. You're still buying him at a decent price point and he could easily hit 30s and stuff like that. 40, I think a 40 odd's probably realistic rather than, seeing anywhere near the 50s and 60 odds that we saw on the weekend. Terrell May still a really good captain here. You could pick a Cleary, but yeah, just not knowing if he's goal kicking as yet can be the slight worry here. And yeah, how close is this game going to be, I suppose, for Terrell? So yeah, there's probably going to be a few different picks this week in terms of captaincy, so that's fun as well. And then Sorensen out, that's the annoying one here for Scotty Boy. And yeah, Liam Martin not in the side yet, I should say, for their one. So Garner and Papali'i in there starting at this point. You've got Liam Martin and Paul Alamotti missing out on this side. So yeah, it's pretty tough out there. The quality in this squad is really, really high. So yeah, Scotty, what was Scotty's one? Don't even say. Was he suspended or something? Yeah, anyway. Bunny Sharkies. So for the Buns, we see Jai Gray in there at 1. Holy moly, I didn't even notice. Jamie Humphries? What happened to Humph? Wow, I didn't realize. Oh, concussion. Oh, did he get hit in the last few minutes of that game? Is that right? Have a look over here. Wow, Humphrey's out. I didn't even realize that. Okay. I went through this quickly just before I jumped on. So yeah, maybe was that right? Did he play 77 minutes or something last week? Anyway, so Jai Gray goes back to the 1. Very, very expensive. Talis Duncan stays in the centres, which I just think long term it's probably where it's going to be at, where it's going to end up. Unless once Humphreys comes back, it would be like Dodd and Humph and then Whiten would go back to the edge, or you're waiting for like Campbell Graham to come back where he's not in the reserves yet either. So that could be the kind of thought on that one. So if he's going to stick at centre, I think it makes it very, very tough for you to hold him in your side right now. The price point still really, really nice. You can get him to a lot of guns. There's a few people I know that are in prominent positions, and I think that they can get upgrades from him longer term. He could come out and do what Aitken did last week with his 56, but it's probably not likely. I know he played the full 80. Yeah, someone tell me in the comments what happened with Humph. I'm not sure there. So yeah, he's out unless it was delayed symptoms or something like that, or if it was right at the end. I cannot remember. So there you go. So Lewis Dodd will get his opportunity with Whiten, and I do expect the Sharkies to come on and do really well. Colo's out for the year, which makes it tough. And Liam LeBlanc's great. We've got a couple of the youngsters that have played a few games there. Ryan Gray, Ashton Ward. They do get, Tass back into that, into the centres there. And so Jai Gray goes back to 1, and which puts Johnson back on the wing, which shuffles things around. So yeah, Aitken back to the forwards. If you manage to hold on to him, I think you can continue to do so, which is good. Ramian does return for the Sharkies. Nico Hines, some people bought last week. I think this is a good week to own him, so I'm happy with that. From that standpoint. In terms of the right edge there, we see Nico out with his concussion. Blake Brayley killing it at the moment, so he's definitely an option at hooker if you wanted it. And Adam Finnell-Blake does feel like a hold, but just definitely hasn't been performing in recent history. So yeah, Pete Mamzel's out with his concussion as well. So pretty tough from that one there. So yeah, there you go. Concussion. Humphreys, didn't even realise. All right, Raiders and the Knights there. So for the Raiders, Hudson Young, he's their best buy by far. I think Tarpanay pretty easy to hold now. He's priced under 50. Hosking doing some great work, so I'll keep riding him until he starts to struggle at all, which hopefully it doesn't happen, and we can just stick with him. The only thing to note, I'm looking at Huddy Young, but I personally own Joe Tarpanay and Zach Hosking, so if I was to add Huddy as well, they have a buy in round 24, and it's definitely something that you'd have to follow and have to be ready for and have some type of plan. Like if you don't really want to be playing short for one, but playing a King Tonga and Latu Fainu and these types of guys there as your 16th, 17th. Just be aware of that. For the Knights, Dan Gagai, definitely a pod play in the mid-range if he's going to stick at fullback, which it looks like he will. He has played really well, and yes, he gave up the goal kicking to Hastings, but his running and everything about his game is doing really, really well at the back there. And then the forwards, the big one here is Jermaine McEwen. He is very, very cheap for a 80-minute starting edge back row, which was great, and he scored like near 50 last week, and it's like 350k or whatever it is now. So yeah, really good pick as a downgrade option if you need it. And then Kaipis Paul as the gun of the team, averaging 56. Jaden Brayley keeps the starting spot with Phoenix Crossan at 13, who, both of those guys do really, really well when they're in these positions. And it looks like it should stay for now, but we know things can change very, very quickly with this side because of their coach. Now, to finish it off, Doggies and the Eagles. For the Doggy side, Jacob Kiraz doesn't fill me with a lot of excitement right now, just for the quality that the Dogs are producing. And Galvin on his side is a little bit different to having, he did get a try at least, Kiraz, but just the, how well they look, if they can go back and forth and sort of put scores on teams, he's going to get more tries and all that sort of stuff. And even on the weekend, a 47 with a try just shows that the squad is not doing their best. Kickout and Preston both struggled. Burton really struggled there. So I'm a little bit hesitant to go, to push you to Kiraz over guys like Edwards. I'd pick definitely over Kiraz right now. So just keep all that stuff in mind. You've got Turbo at a really cheap price doing a good job as well. So there's all that. Preston you can still pick, but it's hard. He doesn't look the same since coming back from the injury. So it would be a risk, even though the price is cheaper. It's much safer than it was a week or two ago because we've seen now what's happened, and we'd seen it for 1 or 2 weeks, but you bought him at a higher price, and now it's a safer pick that way. But we've also got more information on him not scoring really well base stat wise. So yeah, and not getting the ball all that much. So that's those guys. They've got Satili out with his hamstring injury. And then for the Eagles to finish, you've got Lehigh at the back, not scoring great, but Tommy is the pick of the backs. And then Ruben Garrick, I think, is a hold here. Should generally be okay, but he is up against Crichton and up against Kiraz there. So if there's any way that he could be a miss for your side, most likely, I think he's the guy to leave out again rather than Turbo. I had him as a priority play last week. And then Jazz Tavanga keeps his spot at 9 with Simpkin there named, which is interesting. I thought he got the head knock, but he did. We'll see what happens with that one. Ola Kawatu is back. I just think it's going to be hard to pick him now. He didn't get surgery on his shoulder, so he's going to be trying to play through that, which will be interesting. And yeah, I think we'll leave it there. That's the team list for round 21, guys. I mentioned in yesterday's video about how many trades I think you can use at different levels and where you're at kind of thing. So yeah, go back and check that out. But just have a bit of a think yourself as to where you're at. If you're at 4 or 8 or 12 trades or in between, what moves are probably going to be the best for my season long term, and then you can go from there. So we'll leave it there, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and hope to see you in the next video tomorrow.